First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
Teddy covers the Prez. You're watching Wager Talk today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. 45 of you waiting in the chat room. Chance, Ford, Gordon, Fred. You guys are earlier than me. Anyway, lead story today. We're going to talk World Series. Before that, real quick, Carmine Bianco joining us. Some soccer talk in about 5 minutes. And then Arthur DiCesare, a bookmaker, where all the money went and where's it going. And Teddy, what's up with your big game breakdown?
We're going to talk Thursday night football tonight, a relatively light day in sports. So we'll get into the Falcons and the Panthers game tomorrow night in my big game breakdown.
If this is a relatively light night of sports, what would a night of sports that don't have any sports be? Oh, tonight.
Christmas.
Hey. Yeah, and tonight. So the word relatively.
Christmas Eve, actually. Christmas Eve, because Christmas is always NBA. Christmas Eve, there's no sports usually.
Teddy, you were on the Dodgers. Let's go. You were on the Dodgers. I was on Tampa Bay. I tweeted out how annoyed and frustrated I was with that pitching change. I logged on to the show today, and you and Joe were talking about how you think it was the right decision. Why don't you tell us why?
Sure. It's real simple. Okay. You dance with the one who brought you.
Why?
This is what Tampa does.
There's a better one over there.
Tampa came into the. If you want my,
oh, stop Lawrence? It and just go. I'm muted.
You dance with the one that brought you. This is the way that Tampa has played all year. Okay, it's not anything different. Snell hasn't gone. Snell didn't reach the sixth inning in any start. And now you say it's an elimination game in the World Series. We have this game plan. Let's change it up. No, that's what Tampa does. The Dodgers scored 3 runs last night, okay? It wasn't like the pitching kept the Rays from forcing a game 7. The bats didn't go last night. So to say everyone's blaming Snell, and you bring in Anderson, and oh my God, Anderson's giving up a run, and then he gives up another run. You can make an argument, maybe you should have brought in Anderson, but to make an argument, when the manager comes into the game and says, I'm going to let my pitcher go twice through the order, and the pitcher goes twice through the order, and then he pulls them, that's what they've done all year. You can't say, oh, because I'm paying attention now, you shouldn't do that. That's what they do. You dance with the one that brought you. What's your take?
Well, so let's start with that's what you do. To me, as the owner, one of the owners of an incredibly successful business and few businesses in my past, I will tell you that rigidity is evil. Nobody should have a game plan that is so locked in stone that they cannot make moves on the fly. Brilliance, as we see in NFL, is about making adjustments. Not, oh, we decided to run the ball all 3 downs. We're down by 40 points, but damn it, that's our plan. And damn it, that's what we're going to keep doing. You got to make adjustments. If Snell was pitching a perfect game, but was striking out every single batter, period, and his ball was dancing like the girl you brought to the prom, according to your stupid analogy, you would not, yeah, baby, you would not take him out. It is the flaw of a manager if he can't make adjustments on the fly. Snell was pitching great. He should have at least gotten one more batter. There was only a runner on first. Wasn't bases loaded with 1 out and a sac fly ties the game. You got to be able to make adjustments. We've seen it in football. We've seen it in hockey. I can't accept that a coach has a game plan that is so ingrained in stone that he can't move it.
Well, you're assuming that the coach wanted to move it. Kevin Cash didn't want to move it. If Kevin Cash had wanted to move it, had the Tampa
I'm assuming
organization
he
wanted
didn't want
change
to
the
move
game
it.
plan, yeah,
Teddy,
they're like, this is the way.
I know.
What do you
That's
think?
my argument. I'm assuming he didn't want to move it because he's so rigid in his ways. That is not effective coaching. I can just imagine, like, Kawhi is on the Clippers. They're going, the game 7 shot finals is on. Kawhi is 0 for 30, but the other guy who nobody has heard of has hit 50 in a row. Who do you think the coach is going to win that final shot?
Kawhi.
Then that
I don't
coach
know. I
is
don't, this is an analogy that doesn't make any sense to me.
Of course it does, because Kawhi would always take the winning shot, but that particular night, he had missed 30 in a row, and there was another guy nobody had heard of who was on fire and couldn't miss. And a good coach would make the adjustment. Kevin Cash should have made the adjustment. You cannot sit and say, oh, because the plan means the plan has to stay that way. Our plan was to talk about this for 1 minute. We're now on 4 minutes. We make adjustments. So should Kevin Cash.
So, again, that is...
I just woke up, dude. Why are we...
Yeah, that's loser
You're
talk
killing
right
me.
there. You're like, well, if you'd have done what I wanted you to do, you guys might have won the game. They scored 1 run. 1 run's not enough. The pitching didn't let them down. The pitching did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Teddy,
so
I'm not blaming Kevin Cash for the loss. I'm not blaming Kevin Cash for the loss.
Okay.
I'm not. Like, if Carey Price, so you know he's the goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens and regarded as one of the best in the league, if he lets in a really, really bad goal and Montreal loses 1-0, it ain't his fault. It's the fault of the team that couldn't put up 2. Did you get that analogy?
Why are you blaming Cash? Why are you? Why?
I'm not blaming Cash, but I'm still saying it was a bad move. It's still a bad move.
That is your opinion. You're allowed to have it. I'm allowed to have a different one. Okay.
Yes.
And when it obviously, as someone who bet the Dodgers last night, to see Snell go out of the game, you're excited. To see Anderson come in, you're even more excited. Every Dodger player was happy to see that trade.
Exactly.
There's no question about that. But
the bench
to see when the Rays say we've gotten to Game 6 of the World Series using this particular game plan. We've beaten the Astros and the Yankees and everyone else we've needed to beat by using this particular game plan. You can't fault them for using that game plan. You can't.
Dude, I'm not sitting here saying Kevin Cash, one of the best managers in the world in all sports, changing baseball in front of our eyes with a payroll that is like sitting in my bank. I'm not saying that he is, should be fired or he was the reason they lost last night. It was a bad decision. You've got to be able to make adjustments. End of story. And Teddy, congratulations on your win, and congratulations to the LA Dodgers. It's been 5 years of trying to get that girl to give him nookie after the dance in the car, in the back seat with the music on. I'm thinking, what's it? Knight Rider without you. You know that song? What's that? Night Ranger.
Without you. That's
no, not with or without you. Night Ranger, or Hold Me Now. You know what to do to say.
How about Rock and Roll
sorry.
Fantasy? That's been in my head this morning. Little Bad Company.
Oh, I like that song. Let's bring in Carmine Bianco, dude, and move on from this conversation. Carm, I got to tell you, dude. And I'm being bluntly honest here. You are on this show not because Teddy wanted you on. Not because I wanted you on. It is by popular demand. There was literally an outpouring of love and affection for you in the chat room. Only one guy, but he was very loud. I'm playing, dude. I miss you, brother.
Yeah. I'm thrilled to be on WagerTalk Today with Teddy and the other host. This is great. I do want to fact check something really quickly before you get into it. 2 things is, can you ask Arthur that because I think the proper pronunciation of his name, you seem to like kind of butcher them.
Well, I do what Teddy tells me.
Because I think it's because I have friends with similar name, and it's here it's DiCesare. So, and you say DiCesare.
The way Arthur pronounced it is DiCesare.
Okay. And the other thing is your joke yesterday, and quickly your joke yesterday about odds and future bets, Lawrence. Teddy, I only use one future bet example. If you bet the Leafs at 50 to 1, $100, you lose $100. It's the Leafs and only the Leafs, because that franchise absolutely blows. That's the only I ever use. Regards
you literally
to
are coming on our show and bitching out the Leafs. Will you ever stop? We got Carm for president in here. Forza, Carmine, go Juve. Teddy, Carmine is a Juve fanatic. Look at the cup. See, he's got him on the cup. Do you know who that is?
No idea what's Juve.
It's the storied French soccer, or football as I call it, franchise in Italy. They call them the Old Lady. That's their nickname. But yeah.
Teddy has one of those too. Okay, let's get into it. Carm. Oh, shut up, Teddy. Carm, I miss you. I can't wait for hockey to start. Puck time is back in 3 months. Guys, we got a big, great, awesome promotion for Carmine. Carm 90. Brother, tell us about it, and then we'll get into some picks.
Yeah, well, with baseball ending, there's last night. There's nothing else going on right now. On weekdays, of course, there is football on Monday nights and Thursday nights and weekends. But during the week, it's soccer right now. Soccer takes the forefront. There's a ton of domestic leagues in Europe, and this competition that we're going to talk about today, Champions League. So you can get $150 off a 3-month package, which will take you into January of next year. That package is normally $4.99. You can get it for $3.49 using that code CARM90 to get $150 off.
There you go, guys. CARM90 over at WagerTalk.com for $90 off of his 3-month soccer package. Carm, Champions League, full swing. It's really great soccer. It's exciting as hell. It's important as hell. Just tell us a little bit about the makeup of the competition.
Yeah, this is a competition that was created back in 1955. I'm going to go through this really quickly, and then we'll get into some free plays. But in 1955, it was called the European Cup. It brought together all of the league winners of their domestic leagues. In 1992, it was rebranded as Champions League. It's 32 teams. It's broken up into groups of 8 groups of 4. You play each team in your group twice, home and away. The top 2 teams at the end of those 6 games that are played advance to a knockout stages. The knockout stages for the first round of 16 teams are a home and away aggregate goals, so total goals scored. After that, it goes into a bracket-style format. It's done this for the last 3 years, where from the quarterfinals moving forward who you're going to play if you advance. It's still 2 games, home and away, and then the finals is hosted at a chosen site, kind of like the Super Bowl is, and it's 1 game, winner take all.
Awesome stuff, man. Future bets as we move into this tournament. What do you got for us? Give us something that's going to make Teddy smile.
Yeah,
look at that face, man. Oh, thank God.
I will. And I'm just going to preface why this tournament is important really quickly, and then throw something at Teddy. Is this tournament is a financial windfall for all of these teams when they play. The minute you qualify for Champions League, you're automatically given 15 million euros just for qualifying. If you win a game in the group stages, you get 2.7 million euros. Even if you tie a game, it's 900,000 euros. You make it into the next round and you win the round of 16, 9.5 million euros. All the way to the finals, where even the losing team is 15 million euros for losing 19 million to the winners, who last year were Bayern Munich. You look at it, Liverpool, who are the champions 1 year removed. They won $111 million at the end of the day after everything was said and done for winning the Champions League. So it's a financial windfall for these teams and allow them to buy players during the offseason to keep their teams better. There is no salary cap. There's a fair play rule. In North America, we have a salary cap. Like, Teddy, imagine the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, and then halfway through this season announce that they've sold Patrick Mahomes to the Dallas Cowboys, who need a quarterback, for $250 million. Can you imagine the outcry?
Yeah, that wouldn't go over too well in the States, I don't think. Certainly not in the NFL.
Happens. Yeah, it happens in Europe with players like Cristiano Ronaldo leaving Real Madrid and going to Juventus. That cost them about $120 million. Next year, Lionel Messi will leave Barcelona and end up somewhere like Manchester City, and it'll end up.
Those are free agents, right, Carm? That's not a team selling somebody. That's a free agent.
No, but the teams have release clauses. So Lionel Messi's release clause right now is $700 million. If someone's willing to pay that, Barcelona will move him. They have to move him. The minute the team says we'll pay it, and a guy like Lionel Messi says I'll leave, they have to they pay the money and they go. But there's fair play rules in Europe, which is you can't spend more than you make. So this is why winning this competition or going far and making money, it's net spend essentially in Europe. And if your net spend is very low, you can build a team and become better. Now, to get to Lawrence's point of futures, this is a future I gave out on WagerTalk to my clients, and you can still get this. I just checked this morning. Atletico Madrid, a team from Spain, they are 20-1 to win the Champions League. Now, I'm just going to quickly describe what I look at when I'm picking a Champions League futures bet. I'm looking at a team each and every year that I know will make it out of the group stages and are priced at 12-1 or higher. My thought here is always this. Yes, I want them to win, but the farther they go in the tournament, the better hedge opportunity you have. And at the end of the day, I love hedging futures bets that are game changers where you can make money, not hedging something that's 3-1 or 4-1, because you might as well ride that right out to the finals. A team like Atletico at 20-1 is a good bet, and I'll explain why. When you get to the knockout stages, there's 16 teams left. You cannot play the team that was in your group. So they're in a group with the defending champions, Bayern Munich, who are an absolute beast. They can't play them in the first round. So you eliminate them. Secondly, you can't play a team in the first round of the knockout stages from the same association. So in Spain, so they cannot play Barcelona. They cannot play Real Madrid. They cannot play essentially Sevilla, who are probably going to qualify as well too. You've now removed 3 more very good teams from them facing. Again, they're going to finish second in their group to Real Madrid. So you cannot face a team that finished second in other groups. So you're now going to remove another level of very good teams from that. So they'll likely play a team like Lazio. Well, but this is what you need to know with future betting. This is a different beast of future betting. So
sure.
It's not like picking Kansas City and then you just wait to see if they're going to win or not. If you can sort of navigate your way through if you do the right thing, which is picking a good number and then sort of planning your way through. So I now know who five or six teams who they can meet in around the 16, and then from that point forward, if I feel they can beat those 5 teams, you ride it out into the quarterfinals, semifinals, and eventually finals. I've done this year after year and made money on it, so I'm going to continue to do it. So at 20-1, that's your futures bet, Lawrence. Atletico Madrid.
Carmine, awesome stuff. And you know what? Thank you for explaining it all, because it really is very different to what goes on here. Brother, there are games going today. Champions League is on Tuesdays and Wednesdays of every week. Do you have any bets for us today? And what's the look ahead for next week?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a couple of them. This one here was part of my look ahead last week to this week, and it's finally where it's supposed to be. It's Chelsea playing. They're in Russia playing Krasnodar, a Russian side. My look ahead line on this was Chelsea minus 300 and minus 1.5 on the goal line, but it came out at minus 188 and minus 1 on the goal line. And that's a play that I released to my clients. And I also tell them to grab the line early. Don't wait until game day, because you're not going to get a good line or you're not going to get the best line, because this is still bettable at 1.5. But what I saw over the last couple of days is they went to minus 200, minus 225, minus 250, and they're at minus 300. And just before we went to air, they moved to minus 334. A ton of action coming in on them on game day, and the goal line is minus 1.5. They're a much better team now. Their last couple of games are playing extremely well defensively. This is a game that they can and should win. And I actually put out a prop on this game, Chelsea to win 3-0 at plus 850. So that's the exact score. And you're getting 8.5 to 1 on that as well, too. But for the sake of this show, Chelsea minus 1.5 is your free play for the guys.
And guys, Carm, I did stoppage time with Carm for a while. And let me tell you, bet that 3-0. He's really good at predicting those scores. And at 8 to 1, it's certainly worth a flyer. Carm, what about next week?
Yeah, one for next week. I know Ralph was on the show yesterday. He gave away, or he gave one of my plays to you guys yesterday. That one, which was FC Porto, and I'm going to come right back with this FC Porto team. The one thing that happens is with teams from Portugal, like Porto and Benfica, they don't get the same publicity. They don't get the airplay. They don't get the same respect that the teams from England and France and Germany and Italy and Spain get. So they sort of fly under the radar until they no longer fly under the radar. This line's minus 125 right now. And with the volatility in these lines, I make this game minus 170. So there's a lot of play in this line. You're getting 45 cents lower right now if you take this line, because eventually once they hit minus 170, you're going to have to play the goal line because it's going to become unplayable at the money line. They're a very good team at home. Through 24 games going into yes game, where I gave them out, 19 wins, 2 losses, 3 draws, including a lot of international games. They play very well in European ball at home. You're getting them now against a Marseille team that their metric numbers over the 2 games that they lost in Champions Leagues thus far were absolutely horrible. Whether it's a must win for them or not, I don't see them going to Porto and winning this game. So Porto is the side here and the bet here. Take them minus 125.
Carm, we got to call it a segment. Awesome stuff. Can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to join us on WagerTalk today. Guys who want to bet soccer, Carm is amazing. You can get $150 off of his 90-day package. Use the promo code CARM90 over at WagerTalk today. Dude, we'll talk to you again. Before you go, any quick news? Is there going to be a World Cup?
Yeah, there will be a World Cup next year. The Euros that were supposed to be played this year will be played next year, 2021. And the World Cup qualifying has already started for 2022 in Qatar. Or the World Cup draw is coming up, I should say, soon for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, which for the first time will be held in November and December because of the extreme heat in Qatar. Anyways, a pleasure doing the show with Teddy.
Just say anything, damn it.
Thanks for joining us, Con. We'll
Teddy.
talk to you again next time.
Look forward to seeing
out
you when I
here.
get
Break. Let's go.
First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
It's time for bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books here on Wager Talk today. Being that there was one game worthy of note last night, we'll obviously focus on that one. Lots of money for Tampa Bay. The Rays plus 130. They were down to plus 110. So even lower than that in a couple of spots last night. That money was wrong. Obviously, the Dodgers get the win. Good result for the house. The over got bet up last night, 8 up to 8.5. It had been an over series prior to Game 5. Game 6 days under as well. So that was good for the house. Bottom line, bettors lose, bookies win in Game 6 of the World Series, both side and total. That being said, the broader marketplace, I tend to focus on where the sharp money went. The broader marketplace, there was plenty of Dodgers money last night to go along with the Tampa money. I don't know there was a huge decision for the books. We'll talk about that with Arthur DiCesare in just a moment. You want to talk a bad beat? This is a bad beat. You know, the DFS guys, and if you play DFS and you play the big contests, daily fantasy, you know that the final minute of some of these games are wild swings. But this poor guy, He thought he won $1 million. He won $1 million. Oops, stat change. On a Goff rollout, he rolled to the right. He got put down 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, but there were linemen blocking downfield. That means that they viewed it as a designated run. And instead of being a sack, it ended up being being a negative 3 yard rush for Goff. And the guy that thought he won $1 million ended up winning 3,000. Yeah, that's a tough beat off a stat change. Bad beat, no question about it. And then, of course, Prez, we had a bank robbery. Dude, I went out to the bank yesterday. You know, normal. Not like going to the bank every day, but once in a while I got to run by the bank. I couldn't get in. Police tape, cop cars, armed robbery at my bank yesterday. But you've got a story that beats mine because you were in an armed robbery. I just saw it from the outside.
Teddy, I cannot believe that story about that stat change. I did not know about that. Holy moly. Yeah, man, when I was, I don't know, I was probably 16 or 17. I was in the bank. I was actually eating a peach. And I was, you know, when you're done with the peach, you suck on the pip. It was in my mouth.
You do.
Four armed robbers ran in, masks, full on, you know, AK-47s. I'm not a gun guy. I don't know. I don't even know if that's the right gun. It was not a bazooka. There was no tank, and it wasn't handguns. But they ran in. Everybody had to get down. I panicked and swallowed my peach pip, like down, never to be seen again. Checked the toilet bowl at night, probably still in the body. Robbed the bank, left. They had a getaway car right in front of the bank doors. The guys jumped in the getaway car, got off. The cops came, and what stood out to me more than anything was they interviewed about 20 people who literally were standing on the sidewalk next to the car. And one person was like, next to the getaway car. And one person was like, it was a Ford F-150 and it was red. And the next guy was like, it was a Volkswagen Beetle and it was blue. And the next guy was like, it was a motorcycle. I mean, it was like, I'm standing there and I'm like, how is this possible? It was a gray sedan, people. And yet I could have been as wrong as them.
And the crazy thing about what you're talking about is this is fairly common when it comes to eyewitnesses. And yet the eyewitness testimony sends people to jail for life, which is a really scary freaking thing because nobody sees anything right. That's a crazy story, dude. Nobody gets the getaway car.
It was such an eye opener for me because how could you have 20 people explain the car so differently? I mean, the color, the type, and they were all standing there watching. It really blew my mind. Anyway, guys, thank you all for being with us. Some nice new names. I love that. Bad Habit, Ben Free Spirit. Nice to see you, Mike Campbell, Eric Cross, Jason C., Maurice, Johnny Outlaw, Elliot V. Just love Robert Rainey. I just love these guys. They take time out of their day to join us. Means the world to Teddy and I. Teddy, you know who else takes time out of their day to join us?
Yes.
Well, bring him in.
That would be Arthur DiCesare.
Wait. The screen is blurry, and at first I thought that was your hair. Is that a hat?
I got a hat on today.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Teddy, did you not think it was his hair at first?
No, I didn't think it was his hair.
Okay,
no,
well,
that's
I'm
not a hairstyle that I could picture Arthur DiCesare growing in a week.
Arthur, thanks for joining us, man. How are you? How was this past weekend?
Gentlemen, a real pleasure to be here. This weekend was great, but before we get started, I actually have a little story. So Friday in the book, had a guy come up to me. His name was Omar. He's a huge fan of Wager Talk, watches Wager Talk Today every day. You know, I just wanted to give him a shout out and give you guys a shout out because, you know, it just speaks to what you guys do. He was like, listen, I love the guys over there. Love when you go on. I watch them every day. I'm obsessed. You know, they give me the best information in the world. So it's just a credit to you guys and what you guys do.
Thanks, Omar. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And of course,
shout out to Omar.
we have to talk about last night's game. All right, Prez and I arguing at the top as to whether Kevin Cash. Again, when you're managing, when you're looking at it in the rearview mirror, you say Kevin Cash made the wrong move. When you look at it in the context of the Rays season, you say that's what they do. What's your take on the controversy of Blake Snell getting pulled last night in the 6th inning?
Yeah, very interesting, guys. And, I listened to you guys at the top of the show. Prez, I was like you. I was on the Rays, so I was not happy about it. But there's a lot of me that really believes in what you said, Teddy. It's what the Rays did all year. The Rays relied on their bullpen. The Rays had the best bullpen. And also, too, you cannot expect to win a World Series game when you score 1 run. And if you don't have Randy Arozarena, you don't score any runs. I mean, the Cuban Babe Ruth. So, to me, it really is. It's tough for me because, like I said, I had the Rays. But, yeah, I can't really fault Kevin Cash because that's what they've done all year. And that's an organizational decision. That's not just Kevin Cash. That's what the Rays do.
So how did the LINQ make out last night in the World Series and the World Series as a whole? When it came to futures, did you guys do okay? When it came to the Game 6 results, good night for the book or a rotten night?
No, absolutely. I mean, we had a good night. Like you said, the Rays were definitely bet. I think a lot of people were, kind of feeling the zigzag formula. It's basically gone back and forth. People were probably wanting to see a Game 7 as well. Everyone was on the over because the over has been, it's been going all series. It was minus 120 at the total of 8, then 8.5. And I do think it was definitely a good day for the books. But as far as, an overall series goes, we had a lot of Dodger liability, so that wasn't good. But it was a good day yesterday. So we'll just look at what happened yesterday as a positive.
Yeah. Don't sweat the future book. Don't sweat the future book. Prez, did you have something there? It looked like you were about to say something.
Yeah, dude, I want to get into football. We've seen a shift. We had so many overs hitting at a record rate at the beginning of the year. Look, it's not like the unders have caught up, but it's definitely starting to move towards a more normalcy. I want to know about this past weekend, how you guys did across the board, and also if you want to add anything to this over-under situation, because it really feels to me, looking at this board, we're not seeing a 57. We're not seeing 655s.
Yeah, Lawrence, I totally agree with you. At the beginning of the year, we obviously saw a lot of overs, record scoring. I think it was maybe week 3, maybe week 4, where you had totals and multiple totals, 5, 6, 7 of them, 54 and above, 56 and above. I mean, there was just a ton of huge totals. It was just, high 50s. It looked like almost college football totals. I think they've come back a little bit. Obviously, we are still seeing overs, but I even look at numbers. We'll get into some of it later when we talk about some of these NFL games. But, you start seeing totals bet down a little bit, going down a point. I think people are starting to, recognize, listen, there's probably some value in taking some of these unders because, a lot of people want to be on the other side, or they feel, let me go against the public. The whole public's on the overs. So I still think, the public always wants to bet overs. So we're still going to see a lot of overs. But I think, and as the later the season gets in with the weather, unders are going to hit. Yes.
Arthur, we got to just take a quick second, readjust something on your end. So just stay with us. But if you can just be patient for a sec. Teddy, let's continue this conversation, though, because it really is fascinating to me. Arthur is back, I'm told. Well, screw you. I get to talk to you all the time. Arthur, continue your thoughts. My apologies for the technical issues.
No issue. Like I said, I do think the public's always going to bet the overs, but there probably is some value on the unders moving forward, especially as the weather starts to get worse. And, it's just one of those things where I think the sharps look to take unders, public looks to take overs.
So what are we seeing in terms of the early action this week? Let's start in the NFL. We have Thursday night football. Have you seen any significant move there? Where's the public seem to go? And you can go on and talk about Sunday's action as well. Any of the big line movers in the NFL in early week action for this coming weekend?
Absolutely, Teddy. Let's start with the Thursday night. That's one of them that I have seen move a little bit. We are at Panthers -3, but the total was 51.5. Now you're seeing 49. So you got a little bit of a, move on the under there. I think people, and that's a weird one too, because both those teams score. Atlanta's defense is terrible. They give up like 30 points a game. So that's an interesting one. I think the other two that, I've seen a little move in is Chargers -1. It's now Chargers -3. You got to pay -120 on that. Ravens Steelers, probably the best game of the week. Definitely the best game of the week. It was Ravens -5.5, -6. Now you're seeing -3.5. That game against the Steelers is usually a slugfest. It's usually a 3-point game. The totals moved a 1.5 in that as well, from 48.5 to 47. Those are usually 21-20 games, those type of games. So those have been the early moves. And then obviously the one that, we've probably all known about is the Jets, who were +22. It's now 19.5. Generally, those big favorites do not cover. So there's no surprise there to me, that line moving.
Arthur, I want to talk to you about the Thursday night game. And I want to understand something, because we have a lot of people listening to these shows, and, most people are casual bettors. They don't live, sleep, and breathe this stuff. I'm looking at the Carolina line, and we've got Circa, Westgate, South Point, Wynn, Caesars, Bookmaker, Pinnacle, Bet Online, all at -2.5. Do you want to explain why you are at 3 when so many of the books are still at 2.5?
To me, Prez, that could just be the action and the liability we're facing. I do think, though, at some point you probably will see a lot of those, books move to 3. A lot of the times it is just what we're taking, and we could easily move that back to 2.5. And it actually did open at 2.5. So we did actually have Carolina at -2.5. So, a lot of times there is a market move. You want to stay with the market. So, if everyone's at 2.5, you're going to stay at 2.5. So we just have that type of liability right now in Carolina. And that's no surprise, because Carolina's been, pretty decent. Bridgewater's great ATS, and Atlanta's been terrible.
Arthur, I got one more follow-up question, and then I'll hand it back over to Teddy. Pittsburgh. A lot of us were really shocked at a 6 coming. It did not last long. Did you take action on that 6? Because it really was one of the strangest lines we've seen all year.
Prez, I couldn't agree any more with you. I totally agree. 6 was huge. And, obviously we know the Ravens are good, but man, Steelers have looked almost like the best team in the league. They're 6-0. That defense is incredible. And Big Ben's rejuvenated. He's got all these young receivers, all these weapons. And we know the stability of that organization. They're always good. And like I said earlier, that's always a slugfest, that game. That game is always a 3-point game. It's always a tight defensive game. It's a division rival. They're rivals. So, yeah, I was shocked seeing that 6. That 6 to me was way too much.
We've got just a few minutes left here with Arthur DiCesare from the LINQ Sportsbook on the Strip here in Las Vegas. And Arthur, we've talked NFL. Let's talk a little bit about college football. Obviously, we've got conferences in very different places. You have all the conferences that started early. They're most of the way through their season. You have the SEC is halfway through their season. You have the Big Ten and the Mountain West playing their first games last week. And you have the Pac-12 playing their first game this week. What are bettors doing with this landscape? Are you seeing more action, less action? How's the college football early week money showing for you at the LINQ?
Yeah, Teddy, it's real interesting. I mean, you just hit it right on the head. We got teams that have basically played half their season. We have some conferences that just started. But it does make it fun. I think it's fun when you get to throw the Big Ten back in. I told you guys last week we were seeing a lot of action on these Big Ten games. The big ones, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio State, Penn State. Obviously, that's a big one this week. We have Ohio State, Penn State. It was Ohio State 10-10.5. It got to 13. We have it at 12.5. No surprise, Penn State with a bad loss. Ohio State rolling like they always do. And I think the one game you have to mention in college football, because the number is just so ridiculous, is UCF Houston, a total of 82.5. Unbelievable. That is just an incredible, incredible number. So it'll be interesting to see what people do on that number.
Arthur, we can't thank you enough, man. Every single Wednesday, you take time out of your day to join Teddy and I. Your information is world class. Your hat is spectacular. I would request you wear that hat every time you come on the show. We love having you. I can't wait to see you when COVID is over. Take care of yourself, my friend, and we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same place.
Gentlemen, it is always a pleasure. You have a great rest of your day.
Awesome stuff. Teddy, let's take a quick moment, a breather, and we'll get right back with your big game breakdown and, of course, the pen, Ralph Michaels.
Only $99 for the gold sheet for the rest of the season? That's right. The Big Ten, Pac-12, and MAC are just getting started. The college football season is going deep into December. We'd like to offer you the rest of the 2020 college football season for only $99. That's right. You get expert analysis, power ratings, stats, and more for both college football and NFL. This $99 special also includes all of the college football bowl games and takes you through the Super Bowl. Just go to www.goldsheet.com/WagerTalk and use the code CFB is back. Add on the Gold Sheet Extra and CKO for the best bang for your buck.
It's time for Big Game Breakdown. I thought we'd talk a little Thursday night NFL. That's the game that seems to be attracting the most attention here on a Wednesday when it comes to the U.S. sports landscape. On a day with no World Series, no NBA, no NHL, et cetera, we'll talk some Thursday night football. That would be the Carolina Panthers looking to sweep Atlanta. These two teams met 3 weeks ago, 23-16. Panthers got the win. The rematch scheduled for tomorrow night, Carolina -2.5. We've seen some under money. The total's anywhere between 49 and 50, depending on where you shop right now. And the first thing you want to do when you're looking at a rematch is look at what happened in the first game. You know, when these two teams met less than a month ago, Bridgewater, 313 pass yard, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, no sacks. There was basically no pass rush whatsoever for Atlanta in that ballgame. And still, we saw Carolina only score 23 points. That said, the Panthers tend to play slow. That's why we're seeing some of this under money come in. Carolina's game against New Orleans last week, each team had only 7 drives apiece. We're also seeing some under money for this because the Falcons' offense has been contained. Atlanta, 22 points or less 3 times the last 4 games. The only explosion came in Minnesota against a Vikings defense that has been struggling. All that said, the Panthers defense is struggling. Carolina off back-to-back losses against the Bears and the Saints. We saw New Orleans convert on 3rd down after 3rd down after 3rd down. Carolina had no chance defensively last week. And still, they found a way to hang in the ballgame, and lose by only 3. We'll give them credit for that. That certainly is in their repertoire. In that first meeting, talked about the success that Bridgewater had. What a success Todd Gurley had. He was 14 of them for 121 on the ground. They didn't have Julio Jones in that game. Jones, 8 of 97, 8 catches for 97 yards against the Lions last week to go along with Calvin Ridley. And when Atlanta has their pass catchers healthy, it's a different looking offense than when they don't. No question about that. The biggest factor to me for this ballgame is the short week. On the one hand, you have a rookie head coach in a short week. That tends to be a bet against. On the other hand, you have a new coach in Raheem Morris on a short week, and that coach has got to travel. And that tends to be, we talk about things that I don't trust. I don't trust a new coach on a short week. And in the choice between a new coach on a short week versus a rookie coach on a short week, I'll probably take the rookie coach because Morris, even though he had experience in Tampa before, when you have a new staff and a new coach and a new system, you're looking at a whole lot of game planning in a relatively short amount of time. I do think that is a negative for the Falcons, and yet this line's still hanging out at 2.5 in a lot of places. That tells us there's enough wise guy support for Atlanta that we don't have to worry about this line going through the roof. I'm looking at the Carolina side in this one, and if I had to make a play on the total, I look at an over 49. Both of those make sense to this better. Back to you, Prez.
Awesome stuff, Teddy. Just love your big game breakdown. Guys, I want to let everybody know, listen, up until, I'm guessing January, I don't know, college basketball, I don't think we have a full-on date yet, but for the next little while, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, no sports will be on those nights, but stay with us all the way through. Teddy and I are going to talk theory. We're going to talk betting strategies, stories. We're going to have a guest on. We'll be taking apart college football games, taking apart NFL games. They will be great shows. We're also, we got the Masters coming up in golf. We got a golf expert going to be joining us. We're going to talk about all the big sports across the world. I could not find a rugby guy to talk about the rugby finals that are coming up this weekend. Unless you want to take a shot at it, Teddy.
No, but look, you're making a good point here, is that don't sweat about when a day where there's no action, you'll have a full show. We got plenty to talk about. There's room for SportsCenter for bettors every day of the week, 365 days a year, regardless of what's being played. Let's bring Ralph into the mix. What do you say?
Can't wait to see him. Brother dude!
I'm going to correct you a bit there, Prez.
Of course.
Next Wednesday, November the 4th, there are 6 MAC games being played. The following weekend, there's 3 MAC games on Tuesday, 3 MAC games on Wednesday. So the MAC has been the savior and filled it in. So there is plenty of midweek action.
Everyone loves the Big Mac.
Hey, you know what? If you could bet on it, and you could find value, it's worth it. You know what, guys? I'm almost tearing up my script here because I'm writing notes as you and you guys are talking, you and Art, and, he talked about a total in UFC of 82.5. So I tweeted this out yesterday. There have been 37 games with a college football total over 80, like UCF and Houston is this week. They are 61.1% to the under. And what I wrote is this: when you get totals extremely high, Vegas's job isn't to put the line where it should be. It's to put the line where they're going to get equal money both ways. So they always start it lower and let people bet it up. So there are times when there's an 82.5 and there's actually value on the play because the line should be 85 based on plays per game and points per game. So, if you like those high totals, since in the database history, 32 years, 61.1% to the over.
And Ralph, it's funny you say that. We were talking about exact topic last week. I don't know if it was on this show or the NFL presidential address, which, by the way, goes today, 4 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you join me, Ralph, and Matt. Ralph, we were talking about this, man. We were talking about this in regards to NFL and big 50s. And, we're talking about how, take the top 5 totals every week, bet them over. Take the bottom 5 totals every week, bet them under. Do it. You're going to be a winner. I guess it works in college football as well.
It does. Point number 2, Teddy, I wanted to bring up. You talked about coaches on a short week. Listen to this number. First-year head coaches like Matt Rule at Carolina.
Oh, they're brutal.
Since 2013, on a short week when they play Sunday, Thursday, they're 37.1%. But look at his breakdown. From weeks 2 through 9 on a short week, they're 17%. Weeks 10 and later, they're 75% because they're in their rhythm and they understand what they're doing. But weeks 1 through 9, a first-year head coach on Thursday, 17.4%, going 4-19-1 ATS.
Yeah, that's not a pro Panthers stat by any stretch of the imagination. What do we have for angle of the day today, Ralph?
I got 3 totals angles. I just want to make people aware of teams that are running in certain situations. The Detroit Lions, 8-0-1 over under at home their last 9. They're playing Indy with a total of 50. The Cleveland Browns are 8-0 over under as a favorite. Their total 53.5 versus Las Vegas. And the Rams are 1-10 over under as a favorite. Their total 46 as they lay the chalk down in Miami. And the situational plays, and of course I have to go to a Teddy, a thumbs up and thumbs down. Fade an NFL team in week 6 or later off their first loss. in college football, we talk about bubble burst all the time. You lose, you're out of the national championship. So I wanted to look, does that same type of theory hold when a team is undefeated? They're 4-0, they're 5-0. Now in week 6 or later, they're off their first loss of the season. I can go back to 1989. Teams like Tennessee this week have gone 34-56, 38% against the spread. Since 2015, they are 29.4% against the spread, going 5-12. Now, I will say this. Last year, this did go 2-0. This year it is 2-0. So it's 5-12 since 2015, but it was 3-12 prior to that. It's 2-0 this year. KC beat Buffalo. Green Bay beat Houston. Does that thought process go into your head at all, Teddy, when handicapping a team like Tennessee off their first loss after being at least 5-0?
So the sample size is good. When you're talking about since 1989, you've got, 92 games where we've had this situation, and these teams are 38% in those 92 games. So we have a reasonable sample size over a reasonable period of time. We have a reasonable sample size over the last 5 years, 5-12 ATS. This year, there have been 2 games. You can put an asterisk on both of them. I understand it's 2-0 against this trend that has been profitable for so long. But you had KC beating Buffalo. The Bills have been out of sync ever since they played that Tuesday game, and they're still out of sync. And then Green Bay beat a Houston team last week. The Texans are pretty rough right now, and they're another team, but, interim head coach, et cetera, et cetera. So I would put the 2-0, I put the asterisk by the 2-0 this year as opposed to by the 34-56 trend long term. Makes sense. If you need a reason to bet against Tennessee this week, this can easily be one of them.
And, guys, I got a request. If you want to request a segment on the show that I'll look up for you, just reach out to me at Twitter at CalSportsLV. Someone did reach out with the initials TC to me and asked me to run teams, NFL teams, before a bye. So, Mr. Teddy Covers, here you go. NFL teams before a bye. I ran them since 1989, and then I ran them since 2015. I'm going to just run through the 2015 numbers because they're pretty strong. NFL teams as a home favorite the week before a bye, 62%. Both Philly and Cleveland fit in that situation. Home dogs with a bye on deck, like Cincinnati. They're playing this week. They're a home dog. They have a bye next week. Those home dogs have gone 62% since 2015. Away favorites. This is the negative, like the Rams. Away favorites with a bye on deck have only gone 11-12, 47.8%. Away dogs with a bye on deck, 56.4%. So you've got some strong with a 50-game sample size, 62.1% with a 30-game sample size, 56.4% with a 39-game sample size. So away favorites with a bye on deck, they're a 50-50 prop. It's a positive to be a home favorite, home dog, or away dog with a bye on deck. So many times people think the advantage is after a bye because they say they're rested, but you're coming in with momentum. You have next week off. You give your entire effort this week. And Teddy, you came up with some great spots there with that question, looking at that situation.
Well, thank you, Ralph. You did a great job running the database stuff for me. I appreciate that.
I was trying to figure out who TC was. I was like, TC. Now I know.
And Teddy asked one last thing, so I'm just going to run him down. Largest favorites in the NFL since 1989. Well, you guys have a guess in your mind, the largest favorite? That was Denver in 2013.
Denver laid minus 26. That's my guess.
Yep. That was 2013. San Francisco and New England laid 23.5 in 1993 and 2007. Teams that have been a favorite of 18 or more have gone 7-12 against the spread, 37%. Listen to this, though. I wanted to get a little bigger sample size, so I ran favorites of 17 or more. Favorites of 17 or more from 1989 to 2011 went 6-20-1. 23%.
Losers.
Since 2012, favorites of 17 or more have gone 8-2, 80%.
Well, I got a question. These numbers are incredible. The work you put into coming up with this info is absolutely world class, and I think the numbers you just gave us are very, very relevant. So with that said, both of you, would you bet the Jets?
No.
No.
Although,
Teddy?
we saw them, we saw them play better. Remember, you have to look at the Jets and you have to say, with a quarterback, without a quarterback, and look at those numbers in those two situations.
I don't
Sure,
think
well,
they have a quarterback.
So one of the things that Ralph said is that since with 2015 that these bigger chalks are 8-2 ATS.
Yep.
And if you watch again, the Jets played a good first half last week. Their defense couldn't have played better, and they still lost the game in relatively non-competitive fashion. They're not a team I trust. And I don't want my money on bad teams. So I can understand if you want to make a case for the Jets, that's fine. They don't fall into the trend, and they're not any good.
Guys, what a show. Carmine Bianco, Arthur DiCesare, Ralph Michaels all took time out to join us. Teddy Covers and myself are privileged to have all of you guys in the chat room with us, watching on YouTube, checking us out on Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, and all the podcasts. We'll see you all tomorrow. Dave Koken is with us tomorrow. We're going to talk Kansas State, West Virginia, Memphis, Cincinnati, Northwestern, and Iowa. I'm excited. Teddy, take us home.
I'm excited too. I'm excited to end the show. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the games. Good luck tonight. We'll be back again in 23 hours right here on WagerTalk Today.
Only $99 for the gold sheet for the rest of the season? That's right. The Big Ten, Pac-12, and MAC are just getting started. The college football season is going deep into December. We'd like to offer you the rest of the 2020 college football season for only $99. That's right. You get expert analysis, power ratings, stats, and more for both college football and NFL. This $99 special also includes all of the college football bowl games and takes you through the Super Bowl. Just go to www.goldsheet.com/WagerTalk and use the code CFB is back. Add on the Gold Sheet Extra and CKO for the best bang for your buck.